Hey, everybody. Rob, where are you? Am I here by myself? Rob, are you there? It's me, Margaret. I wonder how many people will get that reference. No, seriously, Rob, where are you? This isn't fun. I can't do this by myself. Hello? Hello, Rob? Well, for those of you out there that can see and hear me, as awkward as this may be, welcome to day 2 of the LMA 2020 virtual conference. It's exciting to be back. There was such great conversation that was occurring online yesterday. I saw it on Facebook. I saw it in the app. I saw it on Twitter, and obviously the one-on-one networking sessions and the various roundtables. Very successful day 1. So excited to be back for day 2. And obviously we have several different guests that are all speaking today. But if Rob is missing, who's going to push the button to welcome them into the room? I don't know. We have 3 speakers, though. We have Chris Fritsch, founder and CRM success consultant for Clients First Consulting. We also have, and I'm just going to check my notes because Rob usually keeps me on task here. We've got Kevin Eardale. He'll be speaking on some good stuff, too, because Kevin always has good stuff to bring to the table. He's the CMO at Lowenstein in Jersey. And then we've got Michael Tomsick, marketing communications manager at Parker Poe down in Charlotte. But again, I'm just sitting here by myself. How am I supposed to bring anybody in? Rob, where are you? What is happening? See, folks, this is live television at its best, even when it's on social media. And just to give you a further peek behind the curtain, I'm not even supposed to be here right now. This is supposed to be the time it is being hosted by our illustrious president, Jill Hughes, but she apparently had some issues. But wait a minute, there she is! Jill! What up, girl?
Hi, Andy. So good to see
you in the woods.
Internet's not working today. My computer crashed.
Yeah.
You know, a typical Tuesday morning.
Okay. It's typical 2020, really. It's really what it is.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know where Rob is. Have you seen Rob?
I haven't seen Rob. I finally got into the studio, and I saw you talking, so I was like, I want to talk with Andy.
Yeah.
I miss Andy.
Yeah. So I just don't know who's going to push the button to bring everybody else in the room. I know Chris has to run real fast because she's speaking, and you know, Michael and Kevin, they're all hanging out in the green room too. I wonder if there's a lovely continental buffet spread out there for them. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I asked Rob for a writer for the green room, but he said that he couldn't make that happen. So
what is yours, like no brown M&Ms or something like that?
I'm okay with brown M&Ms. I like to have like Flamin' Hot Cheetos in my green room, you know, and some Starbucks.
Yeah, I know.
Later on this morning.
I've traveled before. I know how you roll. So like, what do we do now?
I don't know. I can take over if you want, or you can take over, whatever you want to do.
If I leave, you're by yourself because I don't know where everybody else is.
Okay. I mean, we can just keep talking.
Totally.
Why don't we do the show together and then we can bring on guests. You said Chris needs to jet quick.
Hello.
Chris?
Hey, how are you?
It's the magic of the interwebs at this point. I don't even know what's happening anymore.
We're not sure where we are or where Rob is, but we're glad that you're here with us.
I'm here now. Yes.
Andrew and I are just going to co-host today because my internet's pretty shoddy and he may have to pick up the slack for me. So
always.
How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's LMA. It's like old home week. It's prom. We're very excited, right?
It is. Yeah.
Prom
with all of our friends that we haven't seen in so long.
It's kind of like prom without pants, which is how a lot of us went to prom.
Okay, wow. I cannot get that out of my head now.
Well,
yeah. I am also a very visual person, Chris. So
I can't unsee that. And
you're welcome. You're welcome.
So I feel like, Chris, I've known you for a million years. I remember you came in and did a presentation for my law firm. Oh, God, it was probably 15 years ago now. But you have been kind of the industry expert for so long in CRM. What's your secret? I kind of look up to you as the woman who's really built a successful business in this industry, and you're kind of a mentor to me, whether or not you know it or not. So what's your secret?
Well, that means the world to me. I remember really looking up to you and being nervous that time that I first presented. So, and it hasn't been that long ago. We're not that old, darn it.
No, we're not. It was like 2 years ago.
Exactly. Yeah. I think, part of building the business was just taking a lot of really good advice from some of my mentors in the industry. Most of whom are still here, but some who are not, who just gave me great advice. The first thing I did, I was still employed at my old job, and I basically took out my LMA Rolodex and called all of my consultant friends and my work friends and my business colleagues and said, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? And they gave me great ideas. They gave me information on how to start the business and how to build time, and basically help me build my business. So it's just such an amazing group in LMA. We all support each other so well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So Chris, you're speaking today. You're actually speaking early this afternoon. What's your topic? And give us a sneak peek of what you're going to talk about.
Well, shockingly, since I am a CRM success consultant, and no, that's not an oxymoron, I swear, we're going to be doing a CRM clinic. I believe it's at like 2:40.
Didn't see that coming at all.
What's that?
Didn't see that coming.
Right. I know. I think it's at 2:45 to 3:15. I'm going to be doing it with some other fabulous folks. And we're gonna talk about all things CRM. We're gonna try to make it interactive. It'll be Jen Kleiss and Jason Kennedy, and we're going to have some polling to make sure that everybody gets answers to the things that they want answers for. With a virtual conference and virtual presentations, it's always really hard. You want to be engaging and you want to keep people involved, but it's challenging. But we're going to do our best. We're going to allow people at the start of the session to help submit topics that they want answers to. And we've got some of the top CRM challenges already queued up to answer as well.
Are there any demos associated with this session, or is it really just your best practices, tips and tricks, takeaways, stuff like that?
It's me from sort of a consulting perspective, and Jason, he's now in consulting, but he actually has a lot of in-house experience. And of course, Jen used to be in-house at a CRM provider and has had her successful consulting company for many years. And she's going to be sort of moderating, and we're going to give the two perspectives on what we've seen, be successful.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah. Should be fun.
What's one best practice you could leave us with? And they'll have to tune in for the rest of them later.
Yeah, just one. I have to pick one.
Just the best one.
Don't do it alone. Reach out for assistance. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. No, very, very rarely are you going to meet somebody who has done a CRM rollout, but through our LMA collective of friends and colleagues, we have all the answers. So, reach out to the providers, reach out to a consultant. We'll always take a phone call and be happy to help, but reach out to all of our LMA resources. Again, it's all about what a great community we have. And that's a best practice, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great.
I know that you recently did a program where you talked about fails, epic fails.
I did,
which I love. And I think the story with Dave Whiteside, where he got us all in the room and talked about all of our epic fails. And it really is. I think we learn more about those fails than from failure than we do from our successes. Any wisdom that you can provide as it relates to those failures?
Yeah. So laugh about them. Again, we're learning from other people's mistakes. If you want to see the videos, they are at epiccrmfails.com. And there are a lot of our fun LMA friends on that site with videos that probably people have not seen. And, they're designed to be funny, but they're also designed to be informative. So we learn from each other in LMA. And again, we're right back to our LMA community and how essential it is to having us all succeed.
Awesome.
That's great.
Awesome. Chris, I know you need to jet. We thank you for your time. We wish you the best of luck, which you don't need, obviously, session later this afternoon. And we hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. Thanks so much for hanging out with us.
Well, hey, thanks for taking the time to talk. And I hope I see you on a conference call later on one of the one-on-one networking opportunities.
Sounds great. Thanks so much.
Chris.
All right. So Rob's clearly here. He's pushing buttons in the background.
Yeah,
Rob,
thank God there's somebody managing the toy store while we're.
I'm here. You guys didn't get rid of me that easy.
Thank
So
God.
I had to break in with a story because we were talking about the green room, M&Ms, and all of that stuff. So the truth to that whole story is that you always hear this joke that Van Halen insisted on having no green M&Ms in their dressing rooms.
I thought it was Beyonce.
No, it was Van Halen, and the reason behind all that was that they had this very complicated contract because of their staging. And if the stage wasn't built exactly to specs, it could be very dangerous because they had this very elaborate stage system. So they buried in their contract this clause about the green M&Ms so that they knew if they walked into a dressing room and there were green M&Ms in the room, somebody hadn't read the contract properly. It was likely the stage hadn't been built to their specifications, and they knew they needed to check it out before the show.
That's quite smart.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So,
I love that story. Thanks for sharing.
It's a great story. So anyway, I'm going to leave because I know Michael Tomsic also has to get out of here soon, and we don't want to miss a chance to talk to him. So I'm out. Hi, Michael. See you later.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks.
Hi,
Rob.
Michael.
Hey, Michael.
Hi, Jill, Andy.
How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so Michael is sorry, Andy.
No, go.
Michael works with one of my wonderful colleagues, Kristen Lease. He's the marketing communications manager at Parker Poe. Michael, you have a pretty varied experience before you got to legal. Can you share a little bit about your background with us?
Sure. So I was a reporter for Charlotte's NPR station for 5 years before I switched careers. And that was the nice thing about Charlotte's NPR station is we're big enough that we could all kind of focus on stuff, but still small enough that when really big things happened, like it was all hands on deck. So I got experience covering a pretty broad variety of things. But one of my favorite things I got to cover was the U.S. Justice Department's lawsuit against North Carolina for its like suite of voter ID and cuts to early voting. This omnibus election bill is what they called it. So I was in and out of a federal courtroom in Winston-Salem for a couple years covering that trial and just loved it. And got to know some attorneys pretty well through that and just really had an interest in the importance of the law, figuring out how you take this complex legalese and turn it into something that's going to make sense to somebody listening on the radio who cannot rewind it. So when I started to think about my next move, going into the legal industry was one of the things that was on the top of my list. And then I really just got lucky. I mean, Parker Poe happened to have an opening for a content person, which is, what I do, help to tell stories. And Kristen's the greatest boss I've ever had. So I've just gotten really lucky in this first move into the profession.
How much did she pay you to say that? Just kidding.
I think that I get a bonus immediately after this, but I didn't check the contract to see if there were any like green M&M type things that I needed to look at first. So I might get.
Yeah, now you know for next time. Absolutely.
That's awesome. So I bet you're having a little bit of flashback as we come into voter season right now with everything that you went through a few years ago.
There's part of me that misses not getting to be out there telling these stories. There's a bigger part of me that does not miss the 20-hour days and having to be out in a pandemic. I mean, now I get to work just from my living room.
Yeah.
Which is fake news, PR or a law firm? Never mind. Don't answer that.
No, that's a good one. I want to hear that one.
Might be too soon, actually, or too raw. I'm not sure. Feel free to answer, though, if you'd like.
Which is fake news?
Which one's faker, a law firm or NPR?
Depends on the law firm.
That's fair. So you have a pretty interesting topic this afternoon, also at 2:45 Eastern, how COVID-19 will change the business of law and what that means for legal marketing. What kind of perspective are you and your co-host, Jordan Furlong from All 21, going to take on that topic?
So Jordan is really it's his perspective. I'm just kind of there to help drive the conversation. And Jordan has really become an international kind of go-to resource on analyzing the future of law. He's given presentations in the US and Canada and Europe and Australia, and wrote this really compelling series, a blog series about how the pandemic was immediately impacting law firms and the business of law and what some of the effects look like they will be going forward. So we'll be exploring that blog series to some degree. excuse me, and hopefully provide a decent mix of kind of big picture, what are the, so Jordan has written extensively about what he sees as the problems with the law firm model. And he, in a nutshell, in this blog series, talks about how this is an opportunity to really push some of the changes that the legal industry needs to make anyway. So we'll dig into some of the big picture of why that is, and then hopefully get to some kind of concrete takeaways for our folks on what it means for legal marketing, how you can help your firm to adapt as we're going through these huge changes, and really zero in on some of the specific things that we as legal marketers can do.
Is there a lot of doom and gloom, or is there some light at the other side of the horizon that we're going to face?
I was actually, based on his blog series, we'll see. Maybe he drops the hatchet on us this afternoon. But based on the blog, I was
surprised.
Say what?
Your October surprise right there. He's dropping the hatchet.
Right. Totally. From the blog series, at least, I think that there is some light at the end of the tunnel. And frankly, I mean, it's a particularly positive note for legal professionals like us, because he's a big proponent of legal marketers and other business professionals being a necessary part of the changes that need to happen to make law firms more cohesive, to make them more client focused, to kind of bring them together. I mean, he writes a lot about how the basic law firm model is decentralizing. Each partner can kind of eat what they kill, and especially in a remote world, maybe they're just happier than ever that they don't have to deal with other things. So we can very much play a role in helping to maintain some cohesion, keep focus on clients. And he has this amazing quote in one of the blogs that was basically talking about how it's right now is an opportunity for anybody who's quote, unencumbered by the cultural baggage of the way we've always done things, which my boss Kristen first pointed out to me in the series. And it's just a great kind of note about how this really is an opportunity at the end of the day for those of us who are not too tied to the way things have always been done, to try to help push some changes that can be better for the firms themselves and can certainly be better for the clients. Because I think Jordan's whole premise is if it's good for the clients, that's the best long-term strategy for it to be good for the firms as well.
Absolutely.
I love Jordan. I love his really forward-thinking, futurist approach, and I am also a big proponent for change. So I love to hear, especially emboldening the legal marketers to be that change agent. So did you get a chance to attend yesterday's session?
I did. Yeah, it was awesome.
Any thoughts about yesterday? What did you like?
It's just so cool what an adaptable group everybody at LMA is. I mean, everyone really rolled with the technical difficulties as they popped up, which, as we've been joking, it's 2020, how could you not have some of those? And had a good sense of humor about it on top of that. I mean, Chris just made a similar point at the end of her interview, but how you've just got to laugh about it. It's so cool to be part of a group that rolls with things and is able to laugh and can have a good sense of humor. And Jill, just frankly, I mean, your leadership, Kristen and John's as co-chairs, I mean, it's pretty incredible what you guys have pulled off, given that you had a whole conference ready to go for us in Denver. What was that, a month away, when all of that had to get sidetracked. So I love that we still are getting this opportunity to come together, even though it's from our living rooms, and just grateful for y'all's leadership and allowing us to still get to pull this off. And I thought it was really cool. The platform worked well. The networking makes it still feel like you bump into people. Yeah. And I was just really moved also by Baratunde Thurston's keynote presentation. Yeah. He is one of the most incisive Americans there is on racial issues in our country, and manages to be funny about it on top of that. So I thought that was really great, really challenging in some great ways. Just one quick thing. I mean, I loved his take on Martin Luther King Jr.'s quote about the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And asking how are you bending it? Don't treat it like this natural law of gravity. What are you doing to help bend that arc? I mean, that's an image that I will absolutely take with me from this conference.
Yeah, because it is individual. It starts in all of us, right? I loved Baratunde. I thought he was great. Any other sessions that you got to listen into yesterday?
Sure. I was really interested in the internal communication session just because that's part of what my gig is, and I also just really enjoy that type of communication. And there were some good practical takeaways there. Actually, since you asked about my journalism background, what's been cool for me is a lot of it lines up. Like, I think at the end of the day, good communication is good communication. So it's being clear, it's being transparent, it's considering the audience, it's figuring out ways to reach them. And especially then learning more about crisis communications just with the pandemic and everything else that's been going on in our country. It's frequent too. It was really cool to hear the panelists yesterday talk about the importance of the frequency of communications, because I'm sure that I'd be curious to hear y'all's take on this, but it seems like in the law firm environment and maybe in the business environment in general, there's just more of a hesitancy to communicate at times. So it was cool to hear some other folks basically say, like, no, I mean, that it's really important to try to get those communications out and check in on people.
Yeah. I think the lack of uncertainty sometimes prohibits us from communicating clearly because we don't want to say the wrong thing, right? But everybody's figuring this out as we go. So it's important to, talk about it as we go and try to be transparent as much as we possibly can. You guys have done a good job with that and getting Tom out there, your managing partner, to speak. So kudos to you and Kristen for, spearheading the way for us.
We appreciate that. I mean, Kristen's as good as it gets on that stuff, so it's really fun. One of my favorite things about my job actually is getting to work with her on the internal communications. And Tom, our managing partner, generally has a similar type of communications approach in that he is conversational and wants to address things. So it helps to have that type of leadership at the helm.
Great. Well, thank you so much for talking with us today. And your session is at 2:45 today, correct? Eastern time? All right, everybody check it out. Thanks, Michael.
Thank y'all so much.
Thanks, Mike. All right, who do we have next?
Hi.
It's this guy.
Oh, it's our favorite guy. It's Kevin.
What's up?
Man, you have nothing better to do.
Kevin.
Do I have nothing better to do than what? Come and talk to you guys?
Come on.
So let me just get this out there.
Okay.
I'm really upset with my agent following Michael's interview. He was fantastic.
Yeah.
I agree. I loved everything that he said. And
who's your agent?
Apparently it's Trish Lilly. Explains so much.
Yeah, no. So I'm gonna have to find a new agent because this placement I'm not really happy with. But
well, hey.
I'm sorry, Kevin.
But it's still good to be here. It's still good to see you guys.
You as well.
Thank you.
You're not speaking, right? You're not speaking this year?
Yes.
I am.
Oh, you is?
Yeah.
When is you? When is that?
I speak tomorrow at 2:30.
Okay.
The topic is the fastest growing law firm management strategies. I'm speaking with Mary Kay Young, Jeff Goldberg, and Amy
Fowler.
Thank you, Amy Fowler. I just blanked for a second. Yeah.
So this is one of the sessions that the conference committee got together, and we were thinking about how can we, kind of spotlight some of the industry leaders. And we had Patrick Fuller kind of do some reverse engineering to figure out who those law firms were that were really kind of exploding. Mm-hmm. And you're one of those. So thank you for being on this panel. Can you share any insights into the success of your firm? And I'm sure it's because of you being at the helm, but
I would normally I would love to take credit for that, but Lowenstein has had success for the past 12 or 13 years. I mean, we've grown double digits, top line, bottom line for that long, over 10 years. And in the session, we'll get into why we think that is, but a lot of it has to do with strategic planning. So having a plan, sticking to it, making sure that it's a good plan, revisiting the plan. It's a living document. It's not something you just stick up on the shelf once every 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
And everybody has to agree on it and kind of march in the same direction. So we'll talk more about it, but there were a lot of commonalities in the firms that are on the panel. So
how much was that strategic plan, which I'm sure didn't just come together overnight, how much did that have to change, after March 13th, when pretty much everyone is sent home?
well, and that's one of the key takeaways. You put together a strategic plan exactly for situations like this. So, nobody could have foreseen that we were going to have a global pandemic. But, you put your strategic plan together thinking about, where do we want to be in 5 years? Where do we want to be in 10 years? What are some of the contingencies that we have to think about? What if kind of planning? And when you get to a crossroads like this and you think, okay, well, what are we going to do? You fall back on the plan. Well, the plan says we're going to go this way. So we've been lucky. We've been lucky and fortunate to have a strong direction and good planning.
You had mentioned that some of the themes that you were experiencing at your firm were similar to others. So Amy's at Mintz Levin, Jeff's at Ropes and Gray, and your moderator's Mary Young from Zakehauser. How much overlap and commonality specifically between Lowenstein and Mintz and Ropes was there, especially because the footprints are relatively similar too, right?
So, yeah, I mean, there are commonalities and the differences in our footprint, in our practice areas and whatnot. But in terms of the strategic planning, and some of the successes that we've all had, I think the biggest one, kind of the most obvious, is that all three of our firms have done quite a bit of lateral hiring since March. We had a great 2019 in terms of bringing on laterals, and 2020 we're actually beating.
Oh, wow.
And that was the same for Mintz, and somewhat to the same degree for Ropes. And you see in the news that there's a lot of firms that are either losing partners or have made pay cuts or furloughs and whatnot. And we haven't had to do that. Again, going back to one of the components of the strategic plan was having a good, sound financial health of the firm. And so, we didn't have to do any of those things. So we were able to then focus on continuing down the path of growing the practices and the sectors that we're focused on. So that's pretty cool.
I want to congratulate you because you're now coming back on the board this January, right?
Yep.
You were on the board a couple years ago, which I so appreciated your perspective. You were kind of our contrarian that helped us, avoid the groupthink and think about things a little bit differently. And that's something that I really appreciate. Andy tries to serve in that role, but he's not effective.
You, Kev.
Well, I'm excited to be back on the board. I really, really enjoyed my time on the international board, and after that stint, I was then treasurer for the Northeast region, which I also really enjoyed. But this is a kind of different time, and it's a different opportunity to be the secretary and to be on the executive committee. So I'm looking forward to it. And LMA has done so much for me in my career that I just feel like volunteering is a great way to give back, and so happy to do what I can.
Awesome. You and I actually share an experience in that we both went through the leadership program that LMA has through Smith Buckland. LMA sends 1 to 2 people every year through this leadership program, and Kevin and I were both lucky enough to get involved in that. Any takeaways or thoughts you have from that experience?
Yeah, that was a fantastic experience. And if I was in my office, in my other office, not my home office, I actually have the certificate, the plaque that's given out at the end for people who complete the course. But I enjoyed. There was a lot of work. But I enjoyed the camaraderie between the other association members who were there, different associations, all of the presenters, Henry, the facilitator. I got so much out of it. I couldn't even point to to one key takeaway. But I will tell you, I enjoyed it so much that I actually sent Pauline Fiore, who's the Director of Business Development at Lowenstein, I sent her through the program this year outside of LMA because I got so much out of it, and I thought that that's a good way to continue that process.
That's pretty cool.
Yep. Yeah.
I enjoyed having the perspective of 17 different associations in the room. Like you mentioned, I think that we get so insular thinking about LMA sometimes, but seeing how other associations from healthcare to technology to the Farmers Association, how they're doing things is kind of just, taking a page from, looking outwardly and really trying to bring the best back to LMA. So
100%.
thank you for doing that.
Yeah, no, it was again, LMA sent me through the program, and that was another thing that, it's going to be hard to pay back because I got so much out of it. But
yeah,
well, the bills
as LMA
the bill's in the mail. Thanks, Andy.
Start budgeting.
it's going to be a tough year, Ken. So yeah, we're all looking to refocus those revenue streams.
Yeah. Well, I remember standing in the Gaylord in Oxon Hill, Maryland, in 2008. Me and I don't know, 300 other people at the annual conference then.
Really, 300?
It was probably more than that, but
It was a down year, Jill.
I know, but
that was a tough year.
Yeah.
And it was in person, and so so my point is the association has had tough years in the past. The industry has had tough years in the past, but I think that there's some signs of hope. So yeah, it's going to be hard, but that's what we're here for.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So,
we're just trying to reimagine everything, which I think is a good opportunity for all of us.
Well, to that point, this session, this conference has wildly exceeded my expectations coming in. I came in just thinking, like, I've been to many virtual conferences over the past 6 months. And to your point earlier, I like to go to marketing conferences that are outside of the legal industry. And, some of them have really been torturous. There's no interaction. There's no, maybe there's a chat that nobody answers, or it seems like a bot is answering, right? So I came in knowing that, well, this is a much more engaged group to begin with. So it's going to be better than that. But between the one-on-one videos and the videos in the exhibit hall with the sponsors and the exhibitors, this has been absolutely fantastic. I mean, I can't even, during Baratunde's talk, I couldn't even keep up with the chat. There were thousands of chats just going on. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, this is really, so kudos to you, Jill, and team who put this together, John and Kristen. I mean, it's just, this is, again, wildly exceeded my expectations.
Awesome. So,
well, the bar was pretty low coming from where we're at in 2020. So,
oh my God.
But thank you for that. Yes, the committee has worked really hard. So we appreciate that.
Yep.
Listen, just because I had a live conference and you didn't does not mean that you can just knock Atlanta. Okay. It was an amazing conference for an in-person conference.
That actually wasn't where I was going with that, but you're right.
Fine.
We are 2019 too. I'm just okay. 2019 was fantastic. Well, thank you, Kevin, for joining us today. We appreciate it. So looking forward to your perspective coming onto the board next year. And I can't wait for your session tomorrow at 2:30 Eastern time.
That's right. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. It's great to see you guys.
For me, by the way.
I will.
All right. Thanks,
all right. And you can too when you come to the session tomorrow.
Well, obviously, but he's not going to see.
All right, guys. Thanks very much. I'll see you later.
Yeah. All right. And then there was 2.
Thanks, Andy, for helping me today.
Yeah, absolutely.
appreciate it.
My pleasure to pinch hit. So what are you most looking forward to as we wrap up our session right now and we get ready to go to the main stage in about 15 minutes?
Oh gosh, there's so much. I'm looking forward to the Hall of Fame. Well, I'm looking forward to all the amazing content. Like we have so much content, which I've been, involved in forever. I mean, we've been planning this conference for 18 months now.
At least.
So
years.
Yeah. But the Hall of Fame reception tonight, I'm so excited to induct 3 new people into our Hall of Fame. And then we have Roy doing the LMA's Got Skills show. More content tomorrow. And we also have John Heffron, who's a favorite of mine as our comedian, providing some comic relief, which I think we all need right now tomorrow night. So super excited about the rest of this conference.
For our viewers, if you don't have your handy dandy agenda at a glance available to you, the plan for the day, noon, we go Eastern, we go back to the main stage. First stop at the conference co-chairs, Kristen and John. 12:10, still in the main stage. We have our practicing well-being through mindfulness and self-care session. That's a general session for everyone. And then, of course, we have the breakouts throughout the afternoon, which lead to the other sessions that Jill was referencing. We also have some concurrent demo sessions that happen at 2 o'clock Eastern. Those should be pretty interesting. Obviously, the one-on-one speed networking, I enjoyed that more than I thought I would when I did that yesterday. I think just based on timing, I only had 3 matches. One of them was Rob Algieri, so it felt like it wasn't fair, like I was cheating, but it's obviously all randomized. But that was great too. And let's see, just lots of great stuff here. And as you mentioned, Hall of Fame's at 5:30 Eastern. LMA's Got Skills, that's at 7 o'clock Eastern. Tons of content, tons of great stuff, all new, imagined, and elevated content that even changed from where we were supposed to be back in person in April. So I know we keep just throwing these platitudes and kudos to you and the team, but I think it's obviously well deserved, and there's been great feedback that we're all seeing in public ways, on Twitter, on Facebook, through the app, and of course as we're all talking offline to each other as well. So again, kudos to you and the entire conference committee and the team behind the scenes that we know are watching right now and judging us because they're texting me and telling me how everything's going. So and of course to Rob, all of these live sessions happening even in the background in black and white.
Thanks, Rob.
You're welcome. Happy to do it. So speaking of live sessions, we are back here at 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, back at 1 o'clock with Michelle Friends and Megan Franks from LexisNexis and maybe some surprise guests. So we will see you all then.
All right.
And stay on call because you may have to sub for another tech glitch. Okay.
I'll make sure I'm dressed.
Great. See everybody later.
See ya.
Bye, guys.